Tonight, we begin a journey into one of life's greatest mysteries, one you experience every single night, but may not truly understand. What if the most powerful elixir in the universe isn't bottled in labs or found in ancient legends, but waiting quietly on your pillow? In the Sleepy Scientist Sleep, the elixir of life, you'll drift through 25 soothing chapters that unravel the silent miracles of sleep. From the first flutter of a dream to the secret ways your body heals in the dark, this isn't just a story, it's an invitation to let go, breathe deeply, and feel yourself melt into a world where your mind resets, your heart rests, and your soul recharges. As the Sleepy Scientist guides you with gentle curiosity, you'll float through brainwaves, memories, dreams, and silence itself. Why do we dream? How does sleep protect us? And what hidden wisdom lies in the simple act of closing our eyes? So settle in, wrap yourself in calm, and press play on a story that honors your need for rest. Because sleep isn't a pause, it's life continuing its quiet work. Milky Way, are you ready to fall asleep with purpose? The Forgotten Fountain. In a quiet observatory nestled in the hills of Oregon, Dr. Alara Miles sat under the soft glow of a desk lamp. Her journal lay open, pages filled with diagrams of neurons, notes on REM cycles, and musings about the mysteries of the sleeping mind. To the outside world, she was a renowned neuroscientist. But to those who followed her late-night lectures online, whispers of science in the stillness, she was known as the Sleepy Scientist. Tonight, Alara turned her gaze toward a dusty, antique book, one she'd found buried in a forgotten corner of the university library. Its cracked leather spine read, Somnus Vitae, the elixir of life. The pages hinted at ancient beliefs, that sleep wasn't just rest, but a source of healing, a portal into the subconscious, and perhaps, the closest thing humanity had to immortality. With the hum of cicadas outside and the gentle tick of a clock inside, she whispered into her recorder, what if sleep is not simply the absence of wakefulness, but the bridge to something deeper, a kind of biological alchemy? Her voice softened. Tonight, we begin a journey into the very fabric of dreams and the secrets they protect. And so, dear listener, settle into your coziest space. Let your breath slow, your mind soften. Because tonight, we're not just falling asleep, we're stepping into the hidden world of rest. Welcome to the elixir of life. The language of the brainwaves. The sky above the observatory faded into a velvet tapestry, embroidered with stars. Inside, Dr. Alara Miles reclined in her worn leather chair, her headphones gently resting around her neck, still humming with the echoes of earlier recordings, brainwave data from her most recent sleep study. As she adjusted the volume on her EEG monitor, waveforms began to flicker on the screen, soft, undulating rhythms like the pulse of the ocean. Delta waves. Theta bursts. Spindles of sleep. To most, they would seem like odd squiggles, but to Alara, they were a sacred language. The brain's lullabies. She sipped chamomile tea, letting the floral warmth coat her throat. It's remarkable, she whispered to her recorder, how the brain, in its slumber, crafts an entire inner universe. We dream, heal, remember, without moving a muscle. Without even knowing. Alara traced her finger along a printout of brain activity from a subject named Claire, a 12-year-old girl who had recently begun sleepwalking. During her deepest sleep, Claire's brain shimmered with synchronized harmony, as though her mind were composing a silent symphony. What are you trying to tell us, Claire? Alara mused aloud. Somewhere between wakefulness and dreams lies a frequency few can hear, but Alara was learning to listen. And as her own eyes began to grow heavy, she realized something: the more she studied sleep, the more mysterious it became. So tonight, dear listener, let's drift alongside those invisible waves. Let your thoughts ride gently on the tide of your breath. You are safe. You are still. And just beyond the curtain of consciousness, something beautiful is waiting. The guardians of memory. The hush of midnight wrapped around the observatory like a velvet cloak, and Dr. Alara Miles stood quietly at the window, her silhouette outlined by the dim glow of moonlight. Outside, Pine trees swayed in the soft wind, whispering secrets older than science. Behind her, the EEG monitors blinked steadily. Claire's readings from last night still lingered on the screens, complex patterns dancing through stages of sleep. Ilara leaned closer and murmured, "So this is how memories are guarded." She tapped the screen softly, eyes scanning the hippocampus activity. It was in deep sleep, slow-wave sleep, where the brain locked in memories, shifting them from the fragile short-term shelf to the deeper vaults of long-term recall. Every lesson learned, every name remembered, every joyful laugh, it all passed through sleep's gatekeepers. In her journal, Ilara wrote slowly, "Without sleep, we forget. With sleep, we begin again." She thought of her mother, who had once forgotten her own name in the early stages of dementia. Ilara was only a teenager then, but she remembered the long nights spent watching her mother pace the hallway, unable to sleep, unable to remember. It was then she vowed to understand what sleep truly meant. The room fell silent, but the memories spoke loudly in her heart. Tonight, she whispered to her recorder, "We let sleep carry what matters most. So, as you lay down and close your eyes, know that your mind is at work. Sorting, securing, and saving every precious piece of your life. Let go. Let your breath slow. Let the guardians of memory take over. You are safe. You are resting. You are healing. Dreams, the mind's theater." The gentle hum of the telescope above Ilara's head was barely noticeable, like the quiet ticking of a clock in a room where time slowed down. She leaned back in her reclining chair, the soft velvet of her sleep lab robe cocooning her in warmth. The monitors around her glowed faintly, each one recording patterns, strange, intricate patterns, that only appeared in one stage of sleep, REM. Dr. Ilara Miles smiled to herself. This was the doorway to the most mysterious chamber of all, dreaming. Dreams, she thought, are not simply stray thoughts or idle illusions. They are stories, stitched together by a brain that refuses to rest. In REM sleep, the body becomes still, paralyzed gently by nature's design, while the mind comes alive in color and memory, fear and fantasy. She remembered a patient from years ago, a violinist named Matteo. He had stopped dreaming after a head injury, and he described the world as gray and flat, as if life had lost its music. When the REM cycles returned to his sleep, so did his melodies. He composed symphonies again, inspired by dreams he couldn't fully explain. Ilara reached for her notebook and jotted a thought: dreams are where the soul rehearses life. She stood by the observation glass and watched her volunteer tonight, a young woman named Alia, breathe deeply. Her eyelids fluttered ever so slightly. The telltale sign. She was dreaming. What worlds was Alia exploring? What faces did she see, long gone in waking life? Dreams were a rehearsal of emotions, a playground for buried thoughts, a quiet theater lit only for one. As you settle in tonight, dear listener, let your mind open the curtain to your own inner stage. Don't be afraid of what you see. Let it unfold. Let it wander. In dreams, you are free. Free to fly. Free to heal. Free to begin again. Dreams, the mind's theater. The sleep lab had settled into its usual hush, the quiet punctuated only by the soft whir of monitors and the rhythmic breath of those within. Dr. Ilara Miles walked slowly along the hallway lined with soft amber nightlights, her slippers silent against the floor. Her eyes, though weary, sparkled with curiosity. Tonight, her focus was on one of sleep's greatest mysteries, dreams. Dreams, Ilara knew, were more than strange stories stitched together from the leftovers of the day. They were deeply purposeful, incredibly vivid, and emotionally charged, a reflection of the mind at its most unguarded. During REM sleep, when most dreaming occurs, the brain becomes nearly as active as it is when we're awake. Paradoxically, the body remains still, immobilized by chemical signals that protect us from acting out the dream. She paused outside a monitoring room, watching a patient named Harper sleep. Electrodes gently tracked Harper's brainwaves. A spike. A flutter. There it was, REM had begun. Her eyelids twitched, her fingers curled slightly. She was deep in her dream world now. Elara closed her eyes and let her mind drift to the wonders of this internal theater. In dreams, people fly without wings. They speak to loved ones lost long ago. They run from fears they didn't know they had. Sometimes, they solve problems they'd wrestled with for days. Artists found muses there. Scientists stumbled upon revelations. Children met imaginary friends. Elara once read about a man who dreamed of numbers tumbling through space, and awoke with a new formula that solved a problem he'd been stuck on for years. The dream world, she mused, was not a place of nonsense, but of emotional truth. Where thoughts rearranged themselves like constellations to be understood anew. She flipped through her old notebook and found a quote she'd once underlined. Dreams are answers to questions we haven't yet learned to ask. Tonight, as Harper dreamed, Elara wondered what questions her patient soul was trying to answer. Would she awaken with insight? Peace? Or simply the odd feeling of having walked a road that no longer existed? As you listen to this, dear dreamer, you too may feel the edges of reality blur. Your own inner world will soon begin to open like a curtain on a moonlit stage. Don't resist it. Let the images come. Let your emotions speak. Because within your dreams lie secrets, untold stories, and perhaps, a message just for you. Sleep well. And dream bravely. The Symphony of Circadian Rhythms. Dr. Elara Miles had always been fascinated by rhythms, not just the patterns of music or breath, but the deeper biological pulses that guide every creature's life. Tonight, she sat quietly in the lab's observation lounge, a warm herbal tea in hand, gazing out at the gentle night sky through a dome of glass. The stars shimmered, as if keeping time with the body's most ancient melody, the circadian rhythm. Every living being, from the tiniest plankton to the tallest trees, followed this inner timekeeper. Governed by a small cluster of neurons in the brain's hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, this rhythm told the body when to wake, when to eat, and when to sleep. It was a master conductor of the biological orchestra. Elara remembered her time in the Arctic, where the sun barely set for months. There, she saw firsthand how disrupted rhythms could affect mood, sleep, and health. People grew tired at odd hours, their thoughts foggy, their emotions dulled. It wasn't just the darkness or the light, it was the dissonance in the body's symphony. Back in the lab, she reviewed a recent case, a young artist named Caleb who had battled chronic insomnia. His sleep came in fragments, never restful, always distant. After weeks of observation and a gradual reset, dim lights in the evening, morning walks to greet the sun, melatonin carefully timed, his rhythm began to return. One morning, he simply said, "It feels like my thoughts have shadows again," as if his mind had gained depth. The body, Elara thought, does not shout its needs, it whispers. And circadian rhythms are those whispers. When we listen, our energy flows, our hormones balance, and our dreams arrive on schedule, like ships returning to harbor after a long voyage. As you lay down now, know that your body remembers the stars, the sun, the moon. It has kept time with the cosmos for millennia. Even in modern noise and light, this rhythm can be rediscovered. Let yourself fall into that natural rhythm. Let your breath slow, your heartbeat settle, your thoughts soften. You are part of a greater song. Sleep is your harmony. Good night, gentle listener. Drift now, into the tide of time. Melatonin's moonlight magic. As a hush settled over the research observatory, Dr. Elara Miles dimmed the lights and allowed the lab to slip into its soft nighttime glow. It was a ritual of sorts. The quiet hum of machines lowered, the air seemed thicker with calm, and outside, the forest's nocturnal chorus began its nightly song. Elara turned her attention to a subject she affectionately called the sleepy molecule, melatonin. Produced by the pineal gland deep within the brain, melatonin's story was nothing short of magical. Triggered by darkness, it rose like moonlight in the bloodstream, gently whispering to the body, "It's time to rest." Not a sedative, but an encourager, a nudge from nature that guided us into sleep's embrace. She had once likened it to the conductor of an orchestra turning down the lights in a concert hall, preparing everyone for a new movement, the nighttime sonata. Years ago, Elara had studied tribes in the Amazon rainforest, far removed from artificial lights. Their melatonin levels rose precisely with the setting sun and dipped as dawn approached. They didn't need alarms. Their sleep was effortless, deep, and restorative. It was a rhythm they danced to without ever hearing its name. In contrast, modern life flooded the night with brightness, blue screens, city lights, round-the-clock activity. It confused the brain, delayed melatonin's release, and stole hours of rest like a thief in the glow. Elara had seen patients transformed simply by dimming lights an hour before bed, turning off devices, or watching a candle flicker in quiet. The changes weren't just in how long they slept but in how deeply they dreamed. Nightmares faded. Mornings felt brighter. A tired soul began to feel safe again. She believed melatonin carried more than just the call to sleep, it carried trust. Trust that the world would pause, that the body could release its burdens, and that nothing needed to be fixed between now and morning. So tonight, Elara encouraged you, dear listener, to let go of the day's electric noise. Imagine a soft lantern glowing in your mind, the sky slowly deepening to velvet. Let your breath become slower, your eyes heavier. Feel the quiet magic of melatonin beginning its moonlit work. You are safe. You are cradled in sleep's gentle arms. You are home, in the rhythm of the night. Sleep well. Dreams, the brain's night theater. The lab was dark, lit only by the gentle amber glow of a salt lamp and the soft green pulse of the EEG monitor. Dr. Elara Miles stood before the screen, watching the delicate waves dance across it, brain activity during REM sleep, the stage where dreams unfold like midnight plays on a private stage. Tonight, she wasn't just a scientist. She was a quiet observer of one of the universe's oldest mysteries, dreams. As the subject slept peacefully under her soft-weighted blanket, Elara whispered into her voice recorder, "REM sleep, rapid eye movement. A time of vivid dreams, fast brain waves, and temporary muscle paralysis. The body rests, but the mind awakens to stories." Dreams, she had found, were not just nonsense flickers of thought. They were threaded with emotion, memory, and meaning. The brain rehearsed, reflected, and even rewrote experiences. A child dreaming of flight was the mind exploring freedom. A parent dreaming of a lost house was searching for grounding. Each night, the sleeping brain became a storyteller, mixing reality with imagination. She remembered the study of soldiers with PTSD, men and women who couldn't dream peacefully. Their REM sleep was often disturbed, fragmented. But with time, therapy, and deep, uninterrupted rest, their dreams began to shift. Nightmares softened. Symbols of safety replaced fear. Their brains, like gentle sculptors, reshaped pain into something lighter. Elara often thought of dreams as the mind's poetry, unedited, strange, but healing. It was during sleep that trauma could loosen its grip, where hope might be planted in surreal soil. She turned toward the sleeping subject and smiled. The data was beautiful, a perfect REM cycle. A mind adrift in a sea of stories, floating weightlessly between what was and what might be. Tonight, she invited you to enter your own theater of dreams. Close your eyes now and imagine a velvet curtain rising. The stage is set. Your mind takes the lead role. There are no limits to where you can go, walking on clouds, speaking to stars, holding hands with someone long gone, or watching time itself slow to a hush. You don't need to understand it. Just feel it. Let the images wash over you like waves in the dark. Let your brain do what it does best when you sleep, heal, create, and wander. You are safe to dream. Melatonin's gentle whisper. Night had fully fallen, and the sky outside the lab's wide skylight shimmered with stars like sequins on velvet. Inside, the only sound was the steady hum of the sleep chamber's air system and the soft rustle of Alara's notebook pages as she prepared for another quiet discovery. This part of her research was not loud or dramatic, it was delicate, like the hush of twilight. Tonight, she was diving into one of the most mysterious and quietly powerful hormones in the human body, melatonin. Produced by the pineal gland deep in the center of the brain, melatonin acts like the conductor of an invisible orchestra. As darkness approaches, it steps onto the podium and begins to slow the rhythms of the body. Heart rate eases. Body temperature lowers. Muscles slacken. The mind shifts from alertness to calm, from thought to rest. Dr. Alara often described melatonin as a whisper of darkness. Unlike adrenaline or cortisol, it didn't shout. It soothed. She reflected on how profoundly modern life had muffled that whisper. Artificial lights, late-night screens, erratic schedules, all of it worked against melatonin's ancient rhythm. The body wants to rest when the world dims. But now, the world never really goes dark. She looked over to a sleeping participant whose melatonin levels had been naturally rising since the sun dipped below the horizon. The monitor showed deepening sleep, slow-wave activity, the body's most restorative stage. She smiled. Nature's timing was still working, even if gently. Alara recorded a note in her softest voice. Melatonin isn't a sedative. It's a signal. It doesn't knock us out. It tells the body, now is the time. Time to drift. Time to heal. She remembered her own childhood in the countryside, how her grandmother would dim the lanterns and light a candle. They'd sit quietly. The house would grow sleepy with them. It wasn't just about sleep, it was about surrender. Melatonin, she realized, was a message not just from biology, but from the earth itself. When the sun disappears, the planet asks us to slow down. Rest. Be still. And tonight, that same message was for you. You don't have to do anything. Just allow the darkness around you to cradle your breath, your thoughts, your body. Let melatonin be the guide. Let your mind and muscles melt. You're not alone. The earth itself is winding down with you. Close your eyes. The world is whispering. It's time to rest. Dreams, the mind's secret laboratory. Dr. Alara Miles sipped her chamomile tea beneath the soft amber glow of her study lamp. The world outside was quiet, blanketed in the hush of midnight. Tonight, her research turned to the most mysterious realm of all, dreams. What happened when the conscious mind stepped aside? When logic loosened its grip, and imagination roamed freely? Dreams, she believed, were more than fragments of memory or fiction spun by sleep. They were windows into the subconscious, emotional recalibrators, even creative springboards. Studies showed that during REM sleep, the stage when vivid dreams occur, the brain is nearly as active as when we are awake. The prefrontal cortex, our rational thought center, dims down, while emotional and memory-related areas light up. In this altered state, we process fears, confront sadness, and explore what we dare not face by day. Alara remembered reading about great inventions and ideas born in dreams, the structure of the benzene molecule, the melody for yesterday, even theories of relativity. The brain, set free from rules, becomes a brilliant and chaotic lab. But not all dreams are fantastical. Some are mundane, looping scenes of grocery aisles or quiet conversations. Even these, researchers believe, serve a purpose, filing memories, testing possibilities, rehearsing for life. She wondered, did the brain dream only for itself, or for the heart too? Could dreams offer comfort, healing, or even closure? Tonight, as you drift deeper into slumber, think of your dreams as messages, sometimes cryptic, sometimes profound, sent from your inner world. Let them unfold without fear. Trust that even the strangest stories hold a truth shaped by your mind's quiet wisdom. Lay still now. Breathe gently. The curtain is rising on a theater built just for you. Your dreams are waiting. Q1. Why does the brain become so active during REM sleep? During REM, the brain replays emotional experiences, integrates memories, and simulates future scenarios. The increased activity in the amygdala, hippocampus, and visual cortex supports vivid imagery and emotional processing. Q2. Can dreams really help us solve problems or be more creative? Yes. Dreaming loosens the rules of logic, allowing unusual connections. This can spark creativity or help solve problems in novel ways, a process called dream incubation. Q3. Why do some dreams feel so emotionally intense? Because the emotional centers of the brain, like the amygdala, are highly active during REM sleep, while the rational, moderating regions are subdued, meaning our feelings aren't filtered or suppressed. The architecture of sleep, cycles, stages, and stillness. Inside the softly humming lab, Dr. Ilara Miles sat beside a screen glowing with gentle waves and pulses. They represented the sleep cycles of a volunteer who had drifted into slumber an hour ago. To the eye, he appeared perfectly still, his breath slow and steady, his muscles relaxed, but inside, his brain was moving through a complex and beautiful rhythm. Tonight's study focused on the architecture of sleep, the repeating cycles that unfold like silent symphonies, orchestrating rest, restoration, and dreaming. Sleep wasn't one long stretch of unconsciousness, it was made of cycles, each about 90 minutes long. And each cycle carried us through 4 distinct stages, N1, N2, N3, and REM. The journey always began with N1, a light doze. Muscles twitch. Thoughts fade into dreams. This is where many of us hover when drifting off while reading or listening to a soothing story. Next comes N2, where heart rate slows and body temperature drops. Brain waves become rhythmic. This is where we spend most of the night. Then N3, deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep. This is the most restorative stage, where tissues repair, growth hormones release, and the body heals. It's when sleep is deepest, and hardest to wake from. Finally, REM, rapid eye movement. The dreaming stage. Brain activity spikes, breathing becomes irregular, and the body is paralyzed to protect us from acting out our dreams. We might cycle through REM 4 or 5 times each night. Ilara gazed at the screen with awe. The patterns reminded her of tides, ebbing and flowing, each cycle with its purpose. Sleep was not passive, it was dynamic. Every stage had a role to play in restoring the body, soothing the mind, and preparing us for another day of life. She whispered into her recorder. The body does not simply shut down. It goes to work in secret. Sleep is not stillness, it is silent motion. And in that motion, we find healing. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, as if nature too was cycling through its own patterns, rest and renewal, dark and light, breath and pause. As you lie here now, your body is beginning that same gentle descent. Trust it. Let the cycles unfold. You don't need to guide them. Sleep knows the way. Drift through the doorway of N1. Float into the calm of N2. Sink into the deep stillness of N3. And let your mind dance when REM arrives. There's nothing you need to do. Just breathe. Let go. Your body remembers the rhythm. And sleep will carry you home. Brainwaves beneath the moonlight. In the quiet glow of her lab's soft amber lights, Dr. Ilara Miles leaned closer to the screen that displayed undulating waves, slow, rhythmic curves gently rising and falling like the breath of the earth itself. These were not ocean tides, though they looked the part. These were brainwaves, whispers of thought, dreams, and deep unconscious magic. Tonight, Ilara was studying the hidden language of sleep, the electrical patterns of the brain that tell a story more ancient than words. As the body rested, the brain never stopped speaking, it just spoke in a different tongue. She reached for her journal and began to narrate softly. The deeper we go into sleep, the slower and larger the brainwaves become. It's as if the mind itself is exhaling, stretching into peace, letting go of the sharp chatter of the waking world. During wakefulness, our brains buzz with beta waves, high frequency and quick, associated with alertness and concentration. But as we drift into rest, the dance changes. Alpha waves rise first, gentle, relaxed rhythms, like ripples across a quiet lake. These are the precursors to sleep, a sign the mind is unwinding. Next come theta waves, which appear in N1 and N2 stages. Elusive and mysterious, they accompany fleeting dreams and sudden inspirations. Many artists have claimed their most creative thoughts occurred just before sleep, and perhaps, Elara thought, that's because they touched this tranquil frequency. And then, in the deepest stage, N3, delta waves emerge. Slow, deliberate, and strong. These are the waves of physical repair and memory processing. Under their guidance, muscles heal, the immune system strengthens, and the emotional brain rewires. But perhaps the most curious of all are the erratic bursts of REM, where brainwaves mimic wakefulness, yet the body lies paralyzed, lost in dreaming. The brain becomes a painter in REM, Elara whispered. It creates colors we've never seen, sounds we've never heard, stories we could never invent while awake. She watched the screen flicker as her volunteers' brainwaves danced through theta and delta, as if composing a lullaby only the body could hear. And so, dear listener, as you lie here tonight, your own brain is beginning its descent into deeper waves. Let the beta slip away. Let alpha wash over you. Let theta guide you down the stream. And when delta arrives, sink. Float. Let go. There is beauty in these waves. A music beneath the surface. Tonight, you are safe within that gentle rhythm. The brain speaks. You only need to listen. And sleep will do the rest. The healing hour, how sleep repairs the body. Dr. Elara Miles stood at the observation window of the sleep lab, her eyes tracing the peaceful outline of a volunteer resting inside. Beyond the soft hiss of circulating air, all was silent. Yet within that stillness, something powerful was unfolding, something that didn't need noise or light to work. This was the healing hour. Sleep, she knew, wasn't just about resting the mind, it was nature's surgeon, pharmacist, and caretaker all in one. As the body slipped into deep non-REM sleep, it activated systems as old as life itself. Elara watched the monitor, her fingers gently turning pages of a worn notebook where she tracked the biological symphony of nightly repair. During this stage, the body releases growth hormone, a silent architect rebuilding tissue and strengthening muscles. Broken fibers knit themselves back together. Microscopic damage caused by the day's movement, walking, lifting, even blinking, was being soothed and restored. The immune system, like a sentry during peace, sharpened its blades. White blood cells regrouped, learning from the day's encounters. If a virus had dared to sneak past defenses, now was the time it would be recognized, targeted, and neutralized. But even more miraculous was the heart. While we dream, the heart slows its pace. Blood pressure gently dips. Arteries relax, and inflammation lessens. It's a nightly reset, reducing the risk of disease in ways we're only beginning to understand. Sleep isn't a luxury, Elara murmured into her recorder. It's the nightly ritual of healing we were designed for. She thought of her patients, overworked, overtired, treating rest like a reward instead of a requirement. If only they could see what she did, a body glowing from the inside out, quietly repairing itself in the dark. The liver filtered. Bones replenished. Skin renewed its cells. Even the gut worked to maintain its delicate ecosystem. It was a quiet choreography, no conductor, no audience, only purpose. And you, dear listener, are part of that rhythm now. As you drift, your body is not idle. It is tending to you. The small aches are softening. Your breath deepens. Your cells are whispering, "We've got this. Sleep now. We're healing you." So let go of the day. Surrender to the wisdom in your DNA. You were made to rest. You were built to heal. And tonight, that healing begins with a sigh, and continues in sleep. Dreams, the mind's mysterious language. Dr. Elara Miles sat alone in her study, surrounded by shelves of sleep journals, neuroscience texts, and weathered dream diaries gifted to her by patients over the years. Outside her window, the moon glowed like a lighthouse in a fog of stars. Tonight, her mind was fixed on one of sleep's most poetic mysteries, dreams. She opened a leather-bound book and traced her finger over a passage she had underlined a decade ago. Dreams are letters written by the subconscious, addressed to a waking self we have not yet met. With a sip of chamomile tea, Elara let her thoughts drift. Dreams were elusive, shape-shifting things, some vivid, others slipping away like mist. But science was slowly catching up to the magic. She recalled studies from the lab. The brain in REM sleep was nearly as active as when we're awake, especially in the visual cortex and amygdala. The body lay paralyzed, cocooned in safety, while the mind built entire worlds. Flying over oceans, talking to lost loved ones, reliving memories, or inventing scenes never before imagined, all without logic or restraint. In dreams, we heal in strange ways. We process grief, replay conversations, and confront fears in symbolic forms. A locked door might represent lost opportunity. A bird in flight could whisper freedom. Elara remembered a patient who suffered terrible anxiety. After weeks of troubled sleep, he dreamt of a quiet forest where wind carried away his fears. He woke calmer, lighter. It didn't make sense, he told her, but it felt like truth. This was the power of dreams, they bypass the noise of waking life and deliver messages in metaphor. They weave emotion into narrative, giving the soul space to speak. Perhaps dreams are not meant to be understood, Elara said into her recorder, but simply felt. And as you lay here now, gently drifting, your mind prepares its own dreamscape. It may be a memory, a meadow, a song, a sensation from childhood, or perhaps a vision you'll forget upon waking but feel in your chest all the same. Let it unfold. You don't need to control it. Just drift. Float into that mysterious theater where your subconscious is the playwright and your heart the actor. Because tonight, while your body rests, your spirit will wander, quietly rewriting the stories of your day into dreams. When we sleep, we heal. Dr. Elara Miles looked out from her observatory rooftop, a warm breeze stirring her lab coat as city lights shimmered below like scattered stars. Her mind wasn't on the skyline, though, it was deep in the labyrinth of the human body, exploring the incredible, invisible healing that happened only when we surrender to sleep. It was humbling to think, every night, our bodies become repair shops, humming silently with purpose while we're unaware. She remembered her first lecture on cellular regeneration, how during sleep, the body dispatches armies of repair molecules. Tiny proteins said about mending microtears in muscle, regenerating skin, and restoring organ tissue. Even wounds healed faster with proper rest. In the deepest stages of non-REM sleep, the pituitary gland quietly releases growth hormone, vital for tissue repair and muscle growth. While the conscious mind dreams or drifts, the body works with precise grace, as if it knows we need this reset to survive another day. But healing wasn't only physical. As Elara reviewed patient notes, a pattern always emerged. Those suffering from emotional trauma often described fragmented sleep. Grief, heartbreak, anxiety, they all disrupted rest. But over time, as their sleep improved, so did their emotional resilience. Why? Because REM sleep gently reprocesses emotion. It allows the brain to revisit painful memories, but with softened edges. The amygdala, which governs fear, quiets down. We feel the feeling, but in safety. This is why dreams often reappear in cycles, your brain gently revisiting wounds until they no longer sting. Ilara tapped her recorder. Sleep is not escape. It is restoration. Not forgetting, but forgiving. Tonight, as your body reclines and your breath evens out, healing has already begun. Tiny enzymes are dancing within your cells. Immune cells scan and sweep. The brain drains toxins through the glymphatic system, like a night janitor clearing clutter. Your heartbeat slows. Your blood pressure eases. And slowly, the body you carry is renewed. So rest now. You are not being lazy. You are allowing yourself to be remade. Let go of the day, the noise, the small wounds. Sleep is here to stitch the frayed edges of your being, thread by thread, in silence and shadow. And when morning comes, you'll wake a little stronger, a little softer. Exactly as you're meant to. The dreaming brain, a world within. Night had fully settled over the observatory now, and Dr. Ilara Miles sat beneath a soft amber desk lamp, her journal open, her pen gliding across the page. Tonight, her curiosity wandered into the most mysterious chamber of sleep, dreaming. What exactly are dreams? To some, they are just random flickers. To others, they are messages, metaphors, or secret maps of the mind. But to science, they are something far more intimate. As we enter REM sleep, the brain becomes more active than when we're awake. Heart rate increases. Eyes dart beneath closed lids. And somewhere in the thicket of neurons, our inner world blooms. In dreams, time bends. A memory from age 6 might merge with tomorrow's to-do list. Loved ones return. Fears play out in safe simulations. Desires are tested. All the while, the prefrontal cortex, the logical center, quietly dims, letting imagination take full control. Ilara often thought of dreaming as nature's nightly performance, directed by the subconscious and scored by the rhythms of our deepest emotions. It's why we might cry in a dream yet feel calm upon waking. Or soar across oceans without wings. Researchers had long studied lucid dreams, a phenomenon where the dreamer becomes aware they're dreaming. Ilara found this remarkable. In that state, the brain dances between REM and wakefulness, offering a strange in-between world where you're both the actor and the author. And yet, even without lucidity, dreams do their work. Dreams, Ilara wrote in her notes, are the rehearsal rooms of life. We grieve in dreams. We prepare, we forgive. Even if we don't remember them, they leave fingerprints on our soul. She glanced at the small sleep monitor beside her, watching as one of her patients shifted gently into REM. On the screen, her brainwaves danced, alive with stories being told behind closed eyes. As you drift now into your own sleep, your mind will begin its journey too. Let it take you where it wants. There is no right or wrong dream. Only a reflection of your thoughts, your memories, your hopes. You are safe. Your mind is guiding you, gently, across a bridge of stars. Sleep well, dream deeply, and know this. Even when the world grows quiet, your imagination never stops blooming. The sleep switch, how the brain knows its time. Dr. Ilara Miles leaned back in her recliner, listening to the subtle ticking of a wall clock, its rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. Around her, the observatory was hushed, filled with the silence that comes only at 3 a.m., when even the stars seem to breathe more slowly. Her notebook was open, filled with pages of wonders, but tonight, she was drawn to a single, powerful question. How does the brain know when it's time to sleep? It turns out, this is no accident. Our body has a biological switch, a balance maintained by chemicals, neurons, and even tiny structures buried deep in the brain. The key player? The suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny region in the hypothalamus no larger than a grain of rice. It watches the light around us, tracks the rhythm of day and night, and tells the rest of the body when to be alert, and when to power down. At dusk, as light fades, the brain signals the pineal gland to release melatonin, a hormone that whispers to every cell. It's time to rest now. Melatonin doesn't force sleep, it invites it. Like a gentle friend drawing the curtains and dimming the lights. And as melatonin rises, the body temperature begins to fall slightly, blood pressure lowers, and the mind eases into a state of readiness. Elara found this fascinating. It's like nature built a sacred ritual into our biology, she murmured to herself. But even more curious is the sleep pressure system, a chemical called adenosine that builds up in the brain the longer we stay awake. It's why after a long day, we feel so heavy with fatigue. And why caffeine works, it blocks adenosine signals temporarily, delaying that urge to sleep. These two systems, the circadian rhythm and sleep pressure, work together, like a duet, guiding us into slumber. When they're in harmony, sleep comes like a sigh. When they're misaligned, we toss and turn, chasing rest that seems just out of reach. As you listen now, you might feel that gentle shift in your body too, the release, the letting go. Your own melatonin rising like a tide. Adenosine nudging gently at the edges of awareness. Your mind, preparing for the journey inward. Let yourself sink. There is nothing to do but breathe and trust your brain's beautiful timing. Sleep is not an interruption. It is your body's sacred design. And you, dear listener, are right on schedule. What happens in the first hour of sleep? As Dr. Elara Miles dimmed the observatory's lamps and curled under her thick, hand-woven blanket, she wondered, as she often did, what incredible transformations her body would soon undergo without her conscious help. Because the first hour of sleep isn't quiet at all. In fact, it's when the orchestra of restoration begins. As Elara closed her eyes, her brain began its descent through the first stages of sleep, from light, fluttery awareness to something deeper, something ancient. Stage 1, the doorway, muscles twitch, thoughts scatter, and the mind begins to drift. A hypnic jerk might surprise you, a final signal from the waking world. Then comes stage 2, the true beginning of rest. Brain waves slow, heart rate decreases, and body temperature drops. The body unplugs from the external world and starts turning inward. But it is in stage 3, often reached within the first hour, where the real magic begins. This is deep sleep, slow-wave sleep, or delta sleep. It is when the body repairs. Cells rebuild. Muscles recover. The immune system strengthens. It's like the night crew in a secret laboratory, scrubbing, fixing, and resetting everything inside. Elara imagined it as a grand, silent ballroom within the brain, where quiet engineers in white coats swept across every corridor, replacing worn-out molecules, cleaning up the day's metabolic clutter. And all the while, the brain's electrical activity hums slowly, deeply, like waves on a tranquil sea. She loved that even though we seem motionless on the outside, inside, it's as if our cells throw a great healing festival. And just as her body entered this powerful stage, her breathing slowed, and she felt herself being carried, as if floating gently down a velvet river. Sleep isn't just rest, Elara thought. It's repair. It's rebirth. In this first hour, our bodies become alchemists, turning exhaustion into restoration. Let your breath follow that rhythm now. In and out. You are being rebuilt. You are not alone. You are resting in one of nature's oldest miracles. The dream gate, REM sleep begins. Somewhere in the quiet shadows of the night, deep inside Elara's mind, a gentle door creaked open. Not a door made of wood or steel, but one woven from the folds of time and memory, a gateway to the most mysterious stage of sleep. REM, rapid eye movement. It begins roughly 90 minutes after we first fall asleep, and when it arrives like a whisper at the edge of consciousness. The body is deeply still, almost paralyzed, a safety feature designed by nature, but the brain? The brain awakens. Ilara's eyes flickered beneath her lids, scanning an invisible world. Her brainwaves resembled those of wakefulness, yet her muscles refused to move. It was here that she stepped through the dream gate. And the dreams began. In this strange twilight, logic unraveled. Her laboratory floated into the sky. She was riding comets, reading books written in starlight, and dancing with particles of light that laughed like old friends. REM sleep is when the emotional brain lights up, memories surface, fears dissolve, and stories play out like silent films on a cosmic screen. For Ilara, each dream was a subtle repair, a quiet processing of the day's emotions and memories. Scientists still debate why we dream. Some say it's how we learn. Others say it's how we heal. But Ilara believed dreams were nature's way of letting the mind wander freely, explore new ideas, and whisper secrets from the subconscious. Her heartbeat quickened, just slightly, as her body temperature adjusted. Breathing became shallower. She wasn't aware of these things, but her brain was alive, glowing softly within the quiet cathedral of her skull. And still, her body lay still, like a sleeping ship, gently rocked by invisible waves. In this fragile realm, Ilara often found inspiration. Many scientists had. Kekulé saw the shape of the benzene molecule in a dream, Einstein imagined light as a child riding a beam, even Nobel-winning discoveries had bloomed in sleep. The brain, unshackled from rules, simply wandered. And as REM sleep cycled again and again through the night, the dreams deepened. From soft echoes to epic stories, from strange scenes to comforting memories, this stage was sacred. Healing. Mysterious. Tonight, the dream gate is open for you too. Let your mind drift. Let it wander. Let it repair. Let it dream. Nighttime architects, how sleep builds memory. Inside Ilara's slumbering mind, something astonishing was unfolding. While her body rested peacefully beneath the covers, her brain was anything but idle. Neurons, those glowing messengers of thought, were firing in patterns that looked eerily familiar, patterns from her waking life. A formula she had studied. A student's smile. The twinkling sound of rain on her lab window. Her brain was not just remembering, it was rebuilding. This stage of sleep, dominated by both REM and deep non-REM, was where memories were shaped, sorted, and stored. And tonight, Ilara's memories were being tucked gently into place like books into a grand, invisible library. Not all memories stayed. The brain, in its quiet wisdom, chose what to keep and what to let fade. Useless details melted away, while important concepts and emotional moments were engraved deeper. Back in her dream, Ilara found herself wandering a vast library made of moonlight and oak. Bookshelves spiraled upward like trees, filled with moments from her life. She pulled down a memory of childhood, a tiny telescope her father had given her, and smiled as it shimmered in her hands. This was the work of the hippocampus, the brain's master librarian, working silently while she dreamed. It catalogued, encoded, and sent memories out across the cerebral landscape for long-term storage. Scientists have shown that students who sleep after studying retain far more than those who stay awake. Musicians master rhythms. Athletes refine movements. Artists envision color and symmetry in their dreams. All while sleeping. Even creativity blooms here. Solutions to unsolved problems, personal or scientific, often emerge after a night's rest. As if the mind, free from distraction, finds clarity in the quiet. Tonight, Ilara's sleeping brain was her most powerful tool. As she floated past the starlit bookshelves, pages turned on their own, memories replaying in soft loops, connections forming like threads of silver light. She felt a strange joy in knowing this. Sleep was not the end of thought, it was the beginning of understanding. So as her body rested, her mind was learning, healing, organizing, building the architecture of self, one quiet moment at a time. And so is yours. Let the night be your guide. Close your eyes. The library awaits. And the brain, your brilliant architect, is already at work. The dreaming mind, where imagination comes alive. The night deepened, and so did Alara's dreams. She was no longer in a library of memories but drifting through a sky filled with glowing threads, each one a possibility, a thought, an idea not yet formed. This was not memory. This was something else. Something far more mysterious. This was the dreamscape, where science, emotion, and imagination wove together in brilliant surreal patterns. During REM sleep, the brain's visual and emotional centers become astonishingly active. It's a phase where logic and rules take a back seat, and the mind becomes a canvas for pure creativity. Faces morph into clouds. Time bends. Stories unfold that could never exist in the waking world. In her dream, Alara floated through a forest where each leaf whispered a new idea. Equations formed in spiderwebs. A distant owl spoke in metaphors. And every step she took shaped the world around her. Her conscious mind was asleep, but her subconscious was painting. In reality, scientists have found that REM sleep boosts problem-solving and creativity. Artists, writers, inventors, even Nobel Prize winners, have credited dreams for their greatest insights. Paul McCartney dreamt the melody to "Yesterday." Einstein visualized riding on a beam of light. Dreams, as absurd as they may seem, are often your brain trying to solve problems it couldn't solve during the day. And here, in the gentle grip of sleep, Alara's brain was free. Unchained from deadlines, expectations, and gravity itself, her thoughts danced. She drifted through the Amazon canopy, then blinked, and she was in the rings of Saturn, then underwater in a city made of coral. And in every dream, the essence of something real lingered. This wasn't chaos. It was the subconscious mind rehearsing, releasing, and reimagining. Dreams can soothe trauma, test decisions, or simply entertain. But above all, they reflect the depth of your inner world, a realm science is only beginning to understand. And so, wrapped in starlight and brainwaves, Alara continued to dream. So can you. Your dreaming mind is waiting. A door just past the edge of thought. A theater where imagination never sleeps. Close your eyes. And let your dreams carry you. Where reason cannot follow. But wonder always will. The healing hour, how sleep repairs the body. As Alara gently stirred in the vast dreamscape, another realm opened, one invisible to the dreaming eye but vital to the sleeping body. This time, the dream wasn't in words or images. It was cellular. Microscopic. A ballet of biology. While Alara floated peacefully, deep inside her body, an extraordinary transformation was unfolding, her cells were repairing. Sleep is more than rest. It's recovery. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, a key player in tissue repair. Tiny tears in muscles caused by daily strain are mended. Skin cells regenerate. Bones subtly strengthen. The immune system runs diagnostics, tracking and neutralizing threats. Alara's bloodstream became a moonlit river, where white blood cells glided silently, scanning like guardians. Her muscles, tired from long hours of research, were gently stitched and soothed. Her skin, kissed by sunlight and wind, renewed quietly in the shadows of sleep. In this healing state, blood pressure lowers, heart rate steadies, and cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. Her body entered its most peaceful rhythm. The natural rhythms of circadian magic. Even the brain participated. The glymphatic system, her brain's cleanup crew, activated, flushing out cellular waste. Like janitors in a quiet library, it swept away clutter, making room for clarity the next day. In her dream, Alara wandered through a meadow of silver grass. Each blade shimmered and hummed, and as she walked, invisible wounds mended. She felt stronger, lighter, more whole. This wasn't fantasy. It was biology's lullaby. The night shift of healing. Science shows that people who sleep deeply heal faster from injuries and illness. And the better we sleep, the better our bodies adapt to stress, pain, and time itself. Ilara didn't have to do anything. She just had to sleep. And so do you. Let your breath slow. Let your heart settle. Your body knows what to do. Let the quiet night be your medicine. Night School: How Sleep Reinforces Learning and Memory. Ilara's dreams now shimmered with fragments of her day, flashes of books, formulas, voices, and forgotten thoughts. But this wasn't a jumbled mess. It was organization. She had entered the phase of sleep known as REM, rapid eye movement, where the brain, far from shutting down, becomes an editor, a librarian, and a teacher. In her dreamscape, she found herself walking through a vast library under a star-filled sky. Each aisle held books glowing with faint light, some filled with childhood memories, others with yesterday's news. A gentle wind rustled pages. This was her mind, and it was hard at work. The hippocampus, her brain's memory center, was replaying recent experiences, deciding what to keep, what to discard, and where to store everything that mattered. Sleep, science tells us, isn't just a break, it's a critical phase of learning. Students who study and then sleep are more likely to retain knowledge. Musicians practicing a piece remember it better after sleep. Athletes mentally rehearse movements, and their performance improves after dreaming. As Ilara wandered deeper into her dream library, she saw memories being sorted, vivid moments from the rainforest expedition, equations from her lab notes, stories told around campfires. Each found its rightful shelf, wrapped in moonlight. One memory in particular stood out, a leaf, trembling in the Amazon breeze. That small detail, once overlooked, now felt significant. In sleep, the brain often discovers unexpected connections, insights that surface only when logic rests. Ilara smiled. Even while she slept, her mind was learning, growing, evolving. And so can yours. As your head sinks deeper into the pillow, let your mind relax. Let the knowledge you've absorbed find its home. Let your brain sift and sort, storing what matters. Sleep is not forgetting, it's remembering wisely. Close your eyes, dear listener. Let your dreams teach you gently, in silence. When the body repairs, the healing magic of deep sleep. Ilara lay beneath a blanket of stars, not just resting, but healing. She had now descended into the deepest layers of sleep, slow-wave sleep, or deep sleep, a sacred phase when the body performs its most miraculous work. Unlike REM, where dreams dance, this was a realm of stillness, where breath slowed, heartbeat softened, and muscles truly relaxed. In this tranquil phase, growth hormone is released in steady pulses. Cells, tired and torn from the day's demands, begin to knit themselves back together. Wounds that had just started to form silently begin to close. Bones repair, tissues strengthen. Even her immune system, a patient army, reorganizes, resets, and readies for tomorrow's threats. Ilara, in this deep sleep, could feel none of it. And yet, her body was a cathedral of silent construction. She dreamed of a glowing forest where trees shed wilted leaves and grew new ones in seconds. Flowers closed their petals, only to unfurl them brighter moments later. The earth pulsed with gentle renewal. In this dream, her own reflection shimmered with light, not just the light of rest, but of restoration. Scientists know that without deep sleep, healing slows. Muscles ache longer. Cuts take longer to close. Even memory and mood suffer. But in this stage, so effortlessly entered, the body performs what no medicine can do, a full-scale internal repair. And it does it every night. You don't need to think about it. You only need to surrender. So now, feel your limbs grow heavier. Let gravity cradle you. Know that even as you sleep, you are mending. From the smallest cell to the largest breath, you are healing. Tonight, your body is the caretaker. All you have to do is sleep. The symphony of memory, how sleep organizes the mind. As the night deepened, Elara drifted into yet another extraordinary phase of her sleep journey, REM sleep, the vivid, rapid eye movement stage where her mind became the conductor of a breathtaking neurological symphony. In her dream, she stood in a grand observatory, surrounded by floating orbs of light, each one glowing with a memory. Some shimmered with laughter, some glistened with tears, and others pulsed gently with quiet learning. As she turned, the orbs wove together in radiant threads, forming constellations of experience, each memory now sorted, connected, and understood. Behind the scenes, her hippocampus, the brain's memory vault, passed on short-term experiences to the neocortex, like a diligent librarian filing important stories away for safekeeping. During REM, the brain decided what to keep, what to forget, and how to tie new knowledge into old. It rehearsed emotions, reinforced learning, and helped Elara make sense of her day, even things she hadn't realized she felt. REM sleep wasn't just dreaming, it was integration. It was why, after a good night's sleep, ideas come together, confusion lifts, and even heartbreak becomes just a little more bearable. As Elara watched the constellations of her memories align above her, a quiet peace filled her. Her mind, like a sky after a storm, was clearing. Organizing. Healing. You, too, are doing the same. Let go of the day. Let the dreams come. Let your mind take the night to do its sacred work. Because sleep doesn't just help us forget. It helps us understand. A lifetime of sleep. As the sleepy scientist gazed through the telescope mounted not at the stars, but at a single delicate snowflake on the windowsill, he smiled gently. Everything, from the circling stars to the flurry of thoughts within the human brain, followed rhythms, pulses, pauses, and rest. He had spent a lifetime studying sleep, not just as a function, but as a language whispered between cells, tissues, and memories. Tonight, as the fireplace cast soft golden light on the worn pages of his notebook, he flipped through sketches of REM cycles, diagrams of hippocampal waves, and inked-out musings on dream logic. Each drawing was not just scientific, each was a portrait of rest in motion, of healing unseen. He thought of the newborn baby whose brain grew by leaps while it dreamed, of the teenager processing heartbreak and exams in the still of night, of the elderly woman, drifting through fragmented but meaningful dreams that carried echoes of a lifetime. Sleep, he now understood fully, wasn't just the elixir of life, it was its guardian, its sculptor, and its storyteller. He closed the notebook softly. Not because he had reached the end, but because this story of sleep would continue, carried forward in every yawn, every nap, every starry night where minds found rest. Outside, snow fell gently, and inside the sleepy scientist finally let go of the waking world, one last time, trusting that sleep would carry him where knowledge ends and wonder begins.